April 19, 2024, News Report 1. On April 19, 2024, Bloomberg reported that Standard Chartered Bank and HSBC in Hong Kong recently raised the interest rates on renminbi deposits to attract Chinese customers to bring renminbi to Hong Kong. They launched a short-term fixed deposit plan for 1 month, with an annual rate of 10%. An announcement on the Standard Chartered Bank Hong Kong website stated that customers using the cross-border wealth management Connect would exchange an equivalent of 100,000 Hong Kong dollars in renminbi for US dollars and open a US dollar fixed deposit. The 1-year rate is an annualized rate of 10%, not 10% per month. The rates for 7-day and 14-day fixed deposits are 13.8% annualized. HSBC also introduced similar term deposits, offering an annualized rate of 13.5% for a 7-day fixed deposit when customers exchange renminbi for specified currencies. Previously, ICBC, Bank of China, and China Construction Bank's branches in Hong Kong also offered high-interest fixed deposits, with annualized rates exceeding 7% for 1 month. In contrast, China's 3-month renminbi deposit rate is only 1.35%. The high interest rates of 10% to 13% offered by Hong Kong banks are very attractive, and it is believed that many Chinese customers will move their renminbi to Hong Kong. Why are Hong Kong banks offering such high interest rates to attract renminbi deposits? This is related to the People's Bank of China's open market operations in Hong Kong. Apparently, there is a severe shortage of renminbi in Hong Kong. The People's Bank of China issued 12 billion renminbi in bonds and 25 billion renminbi in central bank bills in Hong Kong. Within a week, the People's Bank of China absorbed 37 billion renminbi from the Hong Kong market, leading to a shortage of renminbi in commercial banks in Hong Kong. Hong Kong commercial banks can only attract deposits with high interest rates to solve this problem. The report pointed out that the People's Bank of China's strategy is to raise the renminbi deposit rate by reducing the amount of renminbi in the market, thus increasing the financing cost for investors shorting the renminbi. Currently, the closing price of onshore renminbi is 7.24, falling for 2 consecutive days, reaching a new low since November last year. The offshore renminbi has been hovering around 7.25 during the Asian session. The central parity rate of the People's Bank of China is 7.1046, the lowest since March 1 this year. A report by Bloomberg on April 17 stated that investors have no confidence in the prospects of the Chinese economy and will collectively sell the renminbi at any opportunity. Therefore, the People's Bank of China has relaxed renminbi controls twice and is having difficulty finding the optimal pace for its renminbi defense. The report stated that the People's Bank of China is guiding depreciation expectations through the central parity rate and is expected to test the 7.3 level before the end of June. This is a crucial point. Every time the renminbi falls to this level, the People's Bank of China intervenes. Lowering the renminbi central parity rate will weaken the G7 exchange rate. With the US dollar strengthening, the People's Bank of China can only control the pace of renminbi depreciation. The latest data from the State Administration of Foreign Exchange show that the bank's foreign exchange surplus was $16.6 billion in March this year, indicating that traders are not settling and are trying to keep their funds in dollars, showing a lack of confidence in the renminbi. Zhu Hexin, head of the State Administration of Foreign Exchange, said that the People's Bank of China and the State Administration of Foreign Exchange will take the lead, balance internal and external considerations, resolutely correct pro-cyclical behaviors, prevent the formation of unilateral expectations in the market, and self-reinforcement, and resolutely guard against the risk of exchange rate overdepreciation. News Report 2. During a speech at Vanderbilt University in Tennessee, FBI Director Christopher Wray pointed out that Chinese hackers had infiltrated critical infrastructure in the United States more than a decade ago. He said that as early as 2011, Chinese hackers had been lurking in the systems of American companies, preparing for possible cyber attacks, with the aim of causing panic in American society and undermining the resistance of the American people. Ray said that China's cyber army stole control and monitoring system data for infrastructure in just 15 minutes, which is more evil than stealing trade secrets for economic advantage. He said that China's hackers' actions are part of China's long-term strategy. U.S. intelligence agencies and the Five Eyes Alliance issued a joint statement in February this year, stating that China's hacker organizations are actually official Chinese hacker organizations that have been lurking in the United States transportation, energy, and communication systems for at least 5 years. These hacker organizations, including Hurricane Voltage, have launched attacks on communication, energy, transportation, and water resource systems in the United States mainland and Guam several times, gaining user permission sufficient to paralyze the entire system when necessary. Earlier, Microsoft had pointed out that Chinese hackers had used security vulnerabilities to invade the email accounts of several senior U.S. officials, including Secretary of Commerce Raimondo. China's cyber army is essentially a regular army, and its actions have attracted the attention of the FBI. Therefore, Ray's remarks are aimed at gaining public understanding of these issues and dealing with the risks posed by the infiltration of the U.S. infrastructure network. News Report 3. The Integrated Staff Headquarters of the Ministry of Defense of Japan announced on April 19 that the Japan Air Self-Defense Force had 669 instances of emergency takeoffs and landings by fighter jets last year in response to foreign aircraft, 98% of which were American aircraft. Last year, there were 109 fewer instances than the previous year, the lowest in the past 10 years. In terms of country distinction, there were 479 emergency takeoffs targeting China last year, accounting for 72%, a decrease of 96 from 2022. The Southwest Air Direction, responsible for the Senkaku Islands, had the most emergency takeoffs, with 401 instances. The Ministry of Defense also stated that China and Russia's defense sectors are expanding, and Chinese and Russian bombers conducted 2 long-distance joint cruises around Japan last year. In addition to crossing between the Senkaku Islands and Taiwan, Chinese reconnaissance drones flew in the airspace of the Sea of Japan for the first time. The Ministry of Defense believes that China is expanding the use of drones and should be vigilant against this. News Report 4. According to Radio Asia, after the U.S.-Japan-Australia Trilateral Summit, Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi visited Southeast Asia from April 18 to 23, visiting Indonesia, Cambodia, and Pakistan. Analysts in the diplomatic community believe that wolf warrior diplomacy has put China in a diplomatic dilemma, and now it needs to expand its circle of friends to break through the encirclement constructed by the United States. On April 18, Wang Yi arrived in Indonesia and held talks with Indonesian Foreign Minister Marsudi and held a press conference. Marsudi said that the two sides agreed to strengthen cooperation and bilateral relations. Wang Yi stated that China and Indonesia understand and support each other on their core interests. He also warned against the formation of cliques in the region. Wang Yi's visit to Indonesia is seen as a counterbalance to the U.S.-Japan-Philippines Trilateral Summit. In addition, Wang Yi also met with Indonesian President Joko Widodo and newly elected President Prabowo, but the significance of these meetings is limited and may be just a performance for Chinese leader Xi Jinping. News Report 5. According to the South China Morning Post, Chinese diplomats working in overseas missions receive a monthly salary increase of $1,000, regardless of their rank. This news has raised some questions among officials working in diplomatic roles within China, as they have not received similar raises. An analyst from the Merix China Research Center in Germany believes that giving salary raises to diplomats stationed abroad is very rare, especially when the Chinese government is implementing austerity measures. However, this move may cause some internal dissatisfaction, especially among senior officials who may feel unhappy that their subordinates are receiving higher salary increases. Additionally, this salary increase may also lead to dissatisfaction among officials working in diplomatic roles within China, as they have not received similar treatment. This move could cause some diplomats to feel dissatisfied, as they may feel that their contributions have not been properly recognized. News Report 6. The Polish prosecutor's office announced that they arrested a Polish man named Paweł K. on April 18. Paweł is accused of conspiring to assist the Russian military intelligence agency in assassinating Ukrainian President Zelensky. It is alleged that Paweł collected security information from the Gdańsk-Łękowo airport in Poland, which is a transit point for Ukrainian officials traveling to and from Ukraine. According to Polish espionage law, Paweł could face 8 years in prison. Meanwhile, the German government also announced on the same day that they arrested 2 men, accusing them of plotting to launch an explosive attack on U.S. troops stationed at a military base in Germany. Reportedly, Ukrainian soldiers are receiving training to use the American Abrams main battle tank at this base. The 2 arrested men hold dual German and Russian citizenship. German Interior Minister Fessler stated that this is a very serious case, as these conspiracies are aimed at undermining Germany's military assistance to Ukraine. German Foreign Minister Baerbock summoned the Russian ambassador on April 18 to discuss the matter. News Report 7. The Guangzhou Intermediate People's Court announced on WeChat that Wen Qingyun was executed on April 19 for the crime of killing 6 people and injuring 20 others by driving in Tianhe District, Guangzhou. Wen was sentenced to death on January 19 last year, when he drove and repeatedly rammed pedestrians on January 11 last year, then threw money and tried to escape, but was eventually subdued and arrested by citizens. Wen claimed that his uncle was Huang Kunming, the secretary of the Guangdong Provincial Party Committee, when he was arrested. On April 18 last year, the Guangzhou Intermediate People's Court sentenced Wen Qingyun to death for endangering public security in a dangerous manner. The judgment showed that a year before the incident, Wen Qingyun posted content on Douyin using luxury bags and cars, claiming to be a second-generation rich, and started pursuing girls. Later, he was exposed and felt that his life had fallen into a low point, so he vented his emotions by driving and hitting people. After the first instance judgment, Wen Qingyun appealed, but the Guangdong Provincial High Court upheld the original judgment in the second instance and reported it to the Supreme Court for approval. News Report 8. A scandal occurred during the Beijing Half Marathon, organized by the Beijing Municipal Sports Bureau, held on April 14. According to reports, Chinese runner He Jia won the championship with the intentional watering of 3 African runners. The Beijing Half Marathon Organizing Committee stated in the investigation results released on April 19 that the involved African athletes mitigated the severity of the watering. The organizing committee decided to cancel the competition results of He Jia and the 3 African athletes, and revoked their trophies, medals, and prize money. On the day of the incident, an African athlete helped He Jia surpass the other 2 African runners in the last few hundred meters of the race, and He Jia ultimately won the championship with a 1-second advantage. The investigation showed that ANTA, as a partner of the competition, recommended 28 domestic and foreign invited athletes to participate, including He Jia and the African watering runners. However, ANTA did not clearly label the watering runners. The organizing committee criticized this and imposed a disqualification penalty on the event organizer, Zhongnao Road Running Sports Company. The Beijing Municipal Sports Competition Management and International Exchange Center also received criticism and was asked to conduct a profound review. This incident has raised doubts about the management of marathons in China. Many people believe that marathon races in various Chinese cities have lost their sports ethics and guidelines, becoming tools for making money. The scandal of the Beijing Marathon exposes the problems in its organization, which are worth pondering. News Report 9. According to the Wall Street Journal, Apple removed Meta's communication app WhatsApp and social media app Threads from the Chinese App Store on April 19. Additionally, according to Reuters, Apple also removed Telegram and Signal. Apple stated that this was done at the request of the Chinese Cyberspace Administration for national security reasons. An Apple spokesperson said that the company is obliged to comply with the regulations of the government of the country it operates in, even if it disagrees. Although WhatsApp and other apps cannot be downloaded directly in China, Chinese users can still use these apps by downloading them from the Chinese App Store and using a VPN connection. This removal is seen as China's continued strengthening of control over Internet content. On August 9 last year, the Chinese Ministry of Industry and Information Technology issued a notice requiring all domestic applications to be registered with the provincial-level communications management departments.